Hey guys, how is it going? Welcome back to the fourth tutorial of my data structure and algorithm series. For inside this tutorial, we're going to discuss about 2DArray. But before we continue, I will quickly use this opportunity to tell you, if you never checked the first tutorial out on array and the explanation of 1DArray, I encourage you to do so now, because inside that tutorial, I discuss about what array be and how to implement our 1DArray. And in fact, I discuss about different operations we will perform on our 1DArray. So very quickly now, we will just discuss about 2DArray. But before I discuss about 2DArray, now make I just bring up a refresher to refresh our knowledge on 1DArray. So basically, I thought array na just a container wey contain different elements wey dey side by side inside the particular container. Shey you get? And again, very importantly, I talk say the elements or the data wey dey inside this container, right, then they always be of a unique data type. So if na numbers we dey put inside this particular container, another data type no fit come inside. Shey you get? So if na we dey put this one as 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, right? So we no fit put string value inside this one. We no fit put character value inside am. So basically, array na just container wey contain data of unique data type. Shey you get? And if na string we dey put inside this particular container, we no fit put integers inside am. So for inside that tutorial also, I discuss about different implementations of array, both static and dynamic implementation of array, right? I even discuss about different operations wey we fit perform on array. So if you never check that tutorial out, I dey encourage you to check it out now before you proceed to this level. So very quickly now, I go just discuss wetin 2DArray be. So imagine this one wey dey here like this as container 1. Right, then we can't get another container where that one contain another data entirely. So I go just talk, say inside this one now, okay, make I no use square, but make I just use circle. So inside this one now, this one gets data 1, you get data 2, you get data 3. Sure you get? So this one where you dey see here, so like this, now still integer data type dey inside though. So I go just call this one container 2. So where the big concept of 2DArray come in be say, you see these two different containers wey dey here, so like this, we fit come get them inside one big gigantic container. Shey you get? For example, if you do something like this, say this one and one gigantic container wey dey here, right? And this container 1, we can't get them here, right? Then we get the second container here. So the first container contain 1 as a data, it contain 2, it contain 3, it contain 5, and it contain 9, right? The second container contain 1, it contain 2, and it contain 3. Sure you get? So this one wey dey here like this, right? Now 2DArray be that. So 2DArray basically now say now one big container where other containers dey inside. Sure you get? The fact say that they call them 2DArray no mean say na just two different containers fit dey inside them. We fit get multiple containers inside them. Sure you get? We fit get them like this, say one container now be this one container na be this one, another container na be this one. So inside this container, you get different data inside them. This one get different data inside them. This one self can get different data inside them. So you get? Now, before I can switch into my Eclipse IDE, come program this concept where I don't talk out. So I go quickly just remind you on the concept of index. Say index na just the default way of counting for inside programming, and it always starts from a 0. In the previous tutorial, remember I tell you, say the basic mathematics we then teach us for elementary school, now say our counting they always start from 1. But for inside program, if you want count anything, basically as a programmer, your counting go they always start from a 0. So basically the concept of counting where they always start from a 0 be index. Sure you get? So this one means say if you want count the elements where they inside this container 1, so this one go be from a 0, this one go be 1, this one go be 2, this one go be 3, this one go be 4. Then if you want count this one go be 0, this one go be 1, and this one go be 2. So now if you come inside this big container, right, you know say we no go get immediate access to these numbers wey dey inside this container. Why? Because all these numbers, they no be direct children of this big container, right? The direct children of this big container now all these small boxes wey dey inside them, so like this. Sure you get? So if you want come begin the count them by index, this one go be 0 and this one go be 1. So as this one take be 0 like this, if you want come open this box, right, this one go come be 0, this one go be 1, this one go be 2, this one go be 3, and this one go be 4. Sure you get? This one and 1 indicating the second element wey dey inside this big container. Sure you get? So the first element wey dey inside this container, that one will come just be 0, this one will be 1, and this one will be 2. Sure you get? So the principle of index where we want to do for 2DArray as a day like that. Now something where we say it will require you to look deeply. Again, if you want count the element wey dey inside this big container, so like this. So if we dey index 0 like this, you know say the element wey dey index 0 na container on your own. So if you go inside that container again, we will can't get your own element. So the element wey dey inside that container sef go come begin im own counting from a zero. Shey you get. I go encourage you to put this concept for mind because e go dey very very useful when we dey write the implementation of our 2D array. So wetin we go do now be say I go just quickly switch into my Eclipse IDE, come program this concept out. So wetin I go do now be say I go just open my Eclipse IDE here, right? And inside my data structure and algorithm folder wey I don already create for the first tutorial, right? I go just come inside this SRC folder wey dey here. Then inside this package, I go just right click, choose new class. So this new class wey I dey choose now, we go just call am array 2D. Why? Because na just array 2D array we dey discuss for inside this video. Talk say array 2D, right? So as I talk say array 2D now, that one go be the name of my class, or if you want, you fit call am the name of that file. Shey you get. So I go just come here, come check this public static void main option wey dey here. So this public static void main option wey dey here, na im go be the engine wey go make our program to work. So I go just hit finish here like this. So as I hit finish, e come generate this very basic line of code for us. So wetin we go do now be say we go just quickly implement our 2D array. So to take implement our 2D array now, then remember I say I tell you say even 2D array sef dey follow strictly the rules and regulation of array, because 2D array na still a type of array. Shey you get. So and I already explain say array dey always contain unique data type. Shey you get. So if you want declare your 2D array, you must first instruct Java the type of data type wey you wan store inside your array. Shey you get. So I go just talk say int. So as I talk say int now, I go just put these two angle brackets here like this. You get. So these two angle brackets wey I just put in front of this int wey dey here like this don instruct Java and my computer say the type of array wey we wan declare na 2D array. Shey you get. But before I continue, I go quickly bring it to you again say the declaration of array dey always take two forms. Shey you get. We get the static declaration of array and we get the dynamic declaration of array. So the static declaration of array na be say when we dey initialize our array, we dey put the data inside am immediately. But for dynamic declaration of array, we no dey put data inside am immediately. Shey you get. So I go show you the two ways of array implementation now. Shey you get, using 2D array concept. Shey you get. So the first one wey I go first talk about na the static implementation of array. Shey you get. So as I talk say int and these two angle brackets, then I go just give am the name of my array. So I go just call this one big container. So as I call this one big container like that, then I go just say equal to, then I go open this curly parentheses. Shey you get. Shey you see this curly parentheses wey I open so like this. Now the big container be that. Shey you get. Now the big container wey other smaller containers go come dey inside am. And you know say the concept of array na container. So anything wey go come inside this big container again as a container must also dey inside the own curly bracket or curly parentheses. So I go just open another curly parentheses here, so like this. So I go just put comma here because say no be one container go dey inside our big container. Shey you get. Then I go open another one here like this. Shey you get. I go put comma, I go open another one. Then I go come to the end of my program, come close am. Shey you see say as I don close my program so like this, that red asterisk wey dey here don disappear. So this one wey dey here so like this mean the first container wey dey inside this big container. This one mean the second container wey dey inside this big container, and this one mean the third. Shey you get. So this container wey dey here in this first position na index 0. This one na index 1 and this one na index 2. Shey you get. So wetin we go just do now be say we go just begin dey populate the data wey go dey inside each of these smaller containers. Shey you get. Then I go just talk say I put 1, I put 2, I put 65, I put 76. I think say that one sef don dey okay for the first container. Shey you get. Then I go come to the second container. I put 23, I put 56, I put 78, and I put 90. Okay, make I add another one. I go put 100. Shey you get. Why this? Okay, command no dey here. I will just put comma here. So for this last container, so I will just put like 3 different values inside that one: 13, 2, and 45. So now, you know say if you want count the data wey dey inside this big container, right? If you open this big container, you know say we no go see all these numbers immediately, right? Wetin we go see na these smaller boxes wey dey inside am, right? So we no go get access to all these numbers immediately we open this first. Immediately we open this big container. Wetin we go get access to na the container, not the actual numbers. Shey you get. So if you open this big container, we no go see this number, right? So wetin we go just do now be say we go just perform some basic operation for inside this 2D array. So the first operation wey we go just perform na the traversal operation. So traversal operation na just say we dey travel through each element wey dey inside our array. So if we travel through this first element, right, then we go travel through this second element and we go travel through the third element. So immediately we reach inside this first element wey be index 0, we wan come still travel through the element, the data, the actual numbers wey dey inside the first box. So when we reach the second box, we wan also travel through the numbers wey dey inside am. When we reach the third box, we wan travel through the numbers wey dey inside am. So basically, we dey do two different types of traveling. First, we dey travel through the big container, wey be say we go get access to each of these box wey dey inside this big container. And inside each of these box, we go come do wetin? We go come travel through the element wey dey inside there. So to travel through this our 2D array, wetin we go do be say we go just talk say, okay, for, then we go talk say int x equal to 0, right? Then we go just give am the condition wey go make this for loop to work. So the condition go just be like x less than big container dot length. So you get. So as far as the value of x is less than the total size of this big container, right, I want to increment my x. So I will just talk say x plus plus. Then I will just come to the end of this program, then come open my curly parentheses here like this. So you know, say this for loop where I do so like this. Now the first traveling wey we dey do inside that big container be that. So to come travel through each of these container wey dey inside this big container so like this, right? Then we go just come write another for loop. So I go just say for int I is equal to 0, right? Then I go talk say the condition wey go make this this second for loop to work. Then I go just talk say I is less than big container of x, right, dot length, right? Then I go talk say as far as this condition is true, then increment my I for me. I will just talk say I plus plus. Then I will come to the end of my program, come open this my curly parentheses. I know say this 2D array can be a little complicated for beginners, but if you watch this tutorial say for like 2 times, then you go come understand them in details. So what I want to do now be say I just want to print out our number. So I will just talk to okay, system.out.print. Then I will just talk say print. Then I will just talk say I want to print out big container of x of I. Okay, yeah. Then I will come to the end of my program here. I will come close and off. Then what I want to do is say after this loop come iterate finish, right? Okay, before I can do that, make I first just run this program first. So you see, say it don't print out all the elements wey dey inside our program for us, right? But as they print out these elements so like that, they shuffle them all together, right? But we don't want something like this to happen because we know if clearly tell which element dey inside which box. So what I will just do in that instance, we say I will just come here, come talk say okay, I want print out empty line immediately where you don't print the element wey dey inside each of the box. Okay, I will just come here to say system.out.print line. Okay, then I will just end this program here like this. So if I come here again, come press this runner button, you go see say we don't get the element wey dey inside each of the boxes. So inside this first one, we get 1, 2, 6, 7, 57. And okay, basically the way these things still they print so like this, you still they shuffle them all together, right? And what I will just do is say I will just basically use principle of concatenation here. Make I just use and manipulate this program, make it just be a little efficient. So I will just use plus here, come put my quotation mark here, come put comma inside that. So what I they try to do is say at the end of each number, make it add comma there. So if I just press this my runner button so like this, then you go see say we don't get 1, maybe the first element here, comma 2, comma 65, comma 76, and like this. I think say this program can be a little fresh like this, say it dey more human readable. So basically now the concept of 2D array representation with that. So what I will just do very quickly again, I say we want to represent our 2D array in a dynamic way. Then I will just come back here, come talk say int. Now what we want to be say we want to represent our array in a dynamic way, right? Then I will give them the angle bracket, 2 angle brackets basically. Then I will call them big container 2, right? So as I call them big container 2, then I will just talk say equal to new int, then I go put my 2 angle bracket again. Now inside each of these 2 angle brackets, right? So we will come put the size of waiting good day inside our 2D array. Sure you get. Then for example, make I just put 5 here, make I just put 7 here. So basically this one will day here, so now the dynamic implementation of our array, and this one will day here, so now the static implementation of our array. I know say this dynamic implementation they a little complicated, but I go just explain and make them dey more meaningful in few seconds. What I go just do is say make I just walk you through something inside my console, right? See this console now like this. You go see say the way these elements take they print out, right? They print out in form of table, in form of row and column. So inside this output wey dey here so like this, we get how many rows? We get 3 rows, right? Maybe 1, we get 1, 2, 3, and we get how many column? So in this first row wey dey here, this first row get how many column? You get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 4 column, right? In this second row, you get how many column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one get 5 column, and in this last row, you get 1, 2, 3. You get 3 column. Sure you get. So this 5 and 7 where I put here so like this as sizes, right? Now the representation of row and column be that. Sure you get. So what I will just do in just few seconds, we see instead of using this big container, we will just use big container 2, right? Big container 2 here, big container 2 here. Then we will just say big container 2, and so instead of now printing out the value of big container 2 of I of x and I, right? You know, say we don't get any value inside that. What we will just do is we will just print out the value of I. So if I run this program now, you will see what will happen. You see, say we get waiting now, we get elements where they printed out for us, right? Now maybe we just quickly count the row. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get 5 rows where this one mean row, and we get how many columns? 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We get 5 rows and 7 columns as sizes of our 2D array. Sure you get. So if you don't understand the concept of row and column where I take do explanation, if you just talk, say, okay, the capacity of this big container 2, the total elements where this big container 2 fit contain now 5. Right? Say we know if we get more than 5 elements, more than different 5 boxes inside them. And in each of these box, right, we know if we get more than 7 elements inside them. So the concept now just like row and column. Sure you get. Inside that big box, we get total capacity to be 5. Just like inside this big container, we get the total capacity to be how many? To be 3, right? We be first container, second container, and third container. And inside each container, right, we get total capacity of 7. So the element will go day or if it day inside each container, no go fit pass 7. Sure you get. So now why we can't get the total capacity of that big container to be 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in each container, you know if it contain more than 7 elements, we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We be 7 all together. But you go just to say now we know get value inside our big container too, but we can't print out the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Well, basically, we know they print out the value, right? Waiting with the print out now just the index. So as this index take the increment, we they print out the index. So waiting with the print out so like this, not be the actual value, now just the index we they print out. Sure you get. So if you want to demonstrate, say now the value of I will they print, right? So if I come here so like this, can't change this 7 to 8. Come press my runner button here so like this. Sure now say our value don't print out until 7, right? Now also say space no day between this number. Sure you get. So I will just do concatenation option. In fact, I'm not going to use command now. I will just use empty space. Sure you get. So if I run this program again, now you go see we get space between our numbers. Sure you get. So this thing where you see so like this, you see this one don't resemble table already. So lastly, the concept of 2D array now just like table, say you get rows and column inside them. And if you want to see the concept of 2D array, say now the concept of table, right? For inside this static declaration, right? You will just come here to say, okay, I come here like this, come press enter, come here, press enter, then come here again, press enter. Shey you get. So this one na the first row, this one na the second row, and this one na the third row. So I will just come here again, press enter, then you go see am well well. Shey you get. So basically, na the concept of 2D array, now we don't dissect, can't do this basic traversal operation on. Shey you get. So as we say, we don't discuss about 2D array for inside this tutorial, so like this. Now so it will be for inside this tutorial. I go see you for the next tutorial.